Releasing on November 15th for $30 US, is the Charizard EX Lead Battle Deck worth buying physically? Absolutely! If you're looking to dip a toe into the IRL Pokemon TCG scene, this is where every new player should start. Not only is the value for your money insane, but Charizard EX is one of the best decks right now and will continue to be a top deck in 2025. Releasing on November 14th in Pokemon TCG Live for 1,250 crystals, is the Charizard EX Lead Battle Deck worth buying digitally? Absolutely not! You already get a free Zard deck in Live for simply booting up the game, and even if you didn't, the credit gain is abysmal. I'll break this video down into a few parts, giving tips to people who want to buy the deck physically, why you shouldn't buy it in Live, and how to upgrade the deck so it's competitive. First up, why the physical Lead Battle Deck is such a good value. As a reminder, it will be just $30 US. If you go on TCG Player and look up the price of Prime Catcher, it's a $20 card on its own, and it's included in the deck. And if you were to buy 3 Charizard EX and 2 Pidgeot EX together, that'd be about $25. And something like Buddy-Buddy Poffin is up to $2 each, and there's 4 of them in this thing. Because the market is about to be flooded with these cards from the Lead Battle Deck, individual prices should go down starting on Friday. But as you can see from this list I made on Limitless, it currently costs $62 to build the deck by itself. So even if the price of every included card is cut in half, it's still a better deal to get the Lead Battle Deck. And this way you don't have to go chasing individual cards from a bunch of different sellers on TCG Player hoping to find the best price. In addition to the cards, the deck also includes some extra accessories which have no true value, but things like a deck box, damage counter dice, and a code card for TCG Live are all cool to have. Especially if you can sell that code on eBay for a few dollars to someone who doesn't watch my videos. So yes, if you're looking for the product to buy in order to jumpstart your Pokemon TCG career, the Charizard EX Lead Battle Deck is the absolute best value. Now, why should you avoid the Charizard Lead Battle Deck in Pokemon TCG Live? The first answer has to do with the fact that you already get a free Charizard deck. Until rotation in March 2025, you receive 8 free decks for simply booting up Live, and one of them is this Charizard EX deck. The list is eerily similar to the Lead Battle Deck, though notably it swaps out Prime Catcher for Radiant Charizard. The second answer has to do with how the economy works in the game. They increased the number of crystals you can earn with the most recent update, but lowered the amount of credits you get, which are used for crafting new cards. Without going too far in depth, you only want to be using your crystals to maximize the number of credits earned. Every Lead Battle Deck in Live costs 1,250 crystals, so that means it's up to good old math to determine the best one to open. This is a big if, but if I did the math correctly, the Charizard EX deck will reward you with 2,830 credits if you own 4 copies of every card. Longtime players likely have all of them already, while new players will have to buy 2 or 3 copies of the deck to get the full value. Unfortunately, that amount of credits puts Charizard EX in 8th place among all the Lead Battle decks, just ahead of Gardevoir EX and well below Shadow Rider VMAX and Miraidon EX. With the changes to daily quests and how crystals are earned in Live, it takes 14 days of doing your daily quest to afford 1 Lead Battle deck. So every 2 weeks you should be buying the Shadow Rider Lead Battle Deck from July 2022, earning yourself 4,100 credits in the process. Just be aware that you won't begin earning the maximum amount of credits until you purchase your 3rd copy of the deck. In terms of standard legal Lead Battle decks until March 2025, Miraidon EX is number 1 with Palkia V-Star in 2nd. But when rotation hits in March, Palkia V-Star will be gone from standard. So Miraidon EX will be the best choice next year for credit farming if you want a standard legal deck. But even that's losing a few cards. If you were confused by my usage of the word rotation, that's okay. I'm going to try and clear some of it up while also probably confusing you even more in the process. In March 2025, every card with an F in the bottom left will rotate out of the standard format. This is something the Pokemon trading card game does every year to keep the format fresh. Basically, if a card is more than 3 years old, you can't use it in standard unless there's been a reprint. It took me months before I finally understood what rotation was, so if you're lost, don't worry. What this means for you is that some of the cards you need to buy to improve Charizard now will rotate in either late March 2025 or early April 2025. These include Radiant Charizard, Rotom V, and Forest Sealstone. The losses aren't too insane, you just need to be aware that $10 to $15 worth of cards will be unplayable in standard soon. After rotation hits in 2025, cards with a G, H, or I in the bottom left will make up our new standard format, which will last until March 2026. At that point, we'll lose all the G cards, including Charizard EX, but that's a long ways away, so don't worry about it too much. Alright, now is the moment you've all been waiting for. No, they haven't banned Misty from Pokemon TCG Pocket, it's the upgrades you need to make to the Charizard Lead Battle Deck. Until rotation in March, this is the upgraded Charizard EX deck list that you'll find a ton of success with in both real life and fake life without breaking the bank. For the purposes of this video, I'll get as close as possible to a tier 1 Charizard EX deck while also making the upgrade process from the lead battle deck simple. If you want to know how to build a tournament-winning Charizard deck, I'll include a link to Limitless in the description, which is where you can find results from both IRL and online tournaments for the Pokemon TCG. First up, in order to make room for a lot of the new cards, you're going to have to cut some things. The easiest is the energy, you don't need 10. Because Charizard's ability accelerates 3 fire energy into play upon evolution, and its attack only needs 2, you can get away with as little as 5 fire energy in the entire deck. I will include 6 for this example since you're still learning the deck, but with Super Rod and Night Stretcher, running out of energy is rarely a concern here. Next, get rid of the 3 Moltres, both Pidgeotto, and 2 of the Charmeleon. I know it's scary, but the deck is designed to rely on Rare Candy, which can take your basic all the way to a Stage 2, skipping the Stage 1 entirely. The only reason you might want to consider keeping a copy of Pidgeotto is because of Technical Machine Evolution. While that might be an option after rotation in March, for now, Rare Candy is better. And while Moltres isn't a bad card, able to snipe 120 damage for 3 energy, we need it gone to make room for better options. Once you make all the cuts to the lead battle deck, this is what you're left with. There's 45 cards in total, and it's looking really strong. You need to make some additions to get this to 60 cards though, so let's start with the Pokemon. Radiant Charizard is your backup attacker in the deck. It can deal 250 damage for as little as 1 energy, but that will only happen towards the end of the game. That's because its ability reduces its attack cost by 1 colorless energy for each prize card your opponent has taken. So once they've taken 4 prizes, it's doing 250 damage for 1 energy. Or you can use Charizard EX's ability to put energy on Radiant Charizard, allowing it to attack earlier. Rotom V, meanwhile, is someone you use at the end of your first turn. While it will never attack, its ability allows you to draw 3 cards, ending your turn in the process. Speaking of drawing 3 cards, you need a copy of Fezandipiti EX. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you draw 3 cards. It's amazing in most Pokemon card decks, and you will see it everywhere. In terms of cost, in Pokemon TCG Live, Radiant Charizard is free, while Rotom is 750 credits and Fezandipiti is 600 credits. All 3 cards can fit into multiple decks, so they're absolutely worth owning. In real life, you have to be aware that Radiant Charizard and Rotom are rotating in March, so they're a short-term investment. On the plus side, it's maybe $10 to buy both. Fezandipiti is a bit more expensive at $10 on its own, but this will be a highly playable card for the next 2 years, so owning one is a no-brainer. Now we come to the higher skill cards, the Dusknoir line. Because Charizard EX does more damage based on the number of prize cards your opponent has taken, you want them to take prize cards. Both Dusclops and Dusknoir blow themselves, giving up a prize card in the process, while also softening someone up by putting either 5 or 13 damage counters onto an opponent's Pokemon. Not only does the Dusknoir line help Charizard hit harder, but they also help activate Counter Catcher and Defiance Band. Counter Catcher is super important as it allows you to choose your targets when you're behind on prizes. Whereas you'd normally have to solely rely on Boss's Orders or Prime Catcher, this gives you another Gust option. And Defiance Band boosts your damage by 30 if you're behind on prizes, which is great for KOing Pokemon with high HP. The last card is also the most difficult to utilize properly. If your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining, you can play Briar. If you take a knockout with Charizard EX on the turn Briar is played, you get an extra prize card. You can find Briar on that pivotal turn with Pidgeot EX's ability, which allows you to get any card from your deck. Or you can try to draw into it manually with Fezandipiti's ability. Then you can just win the game by knocking out a 2-prize Pokemon if you have 3 prizes remaining, or you can take 2 prizes on a single prize Pokemon. And if you want to get super swifty, you can use Dusclops or Dusknoir to force your opponent down to 2 prizes on your turn, activate Briar, and potentially take a 5-prize turn if you use those Curse Blast damage counters wisely. If all this talk about prize cards and blowing yourself makes your head hurt, my advice is to just download Pokemon TCG Live and play the free Charizard deck as it is, without all the bells and whistles. Once you feel confident in knowing how Charizard is supposed to work, begin making the additions. I'd recommend starting with Rotom V and Fezandipiti EX, then getting the Dusknoir line. I've been playing Pokemon cards for years and still make misplays once or twice a year, so don't get discouraged. Like every other game on the planet, there is a learning curve. All in all, these are the cards you'll want to buy in real life or craft in Pokemon TCG Live to upgrade your Charizard EX lead battle deck. For the Pokemon, it's not too bad, coming in at about $20, and half of that is Fezandipiti EX. I also added a copy of Cleffa because it's just a great card to help you in a rough spot, drawing you up to 7 cards in hand for free. For the trainers, you should have 4 copies of Arven. Unfortunately, they're $2 each. You can get by without buying those 2 extra, but it helps massively with consistency grabbing an item and a tool card. And one of those tool cards is for a Sealstone, which you can attach to Rotom V and use to get any card from your deck once per game. To top it off, add 1 copy of Counter Catcher and 2 Nest Ball, and you're done. As a reminder, this isn't the most expensive, bestest list you can build for Charizard EX, but it's pretty damn close. Prices are always fluctuating in real life, so don't be surprised if you can find some of the cards for cheaper. But if my math is correct, you'll need just $30 to build the deck you see in front of you based off of that lead battle deck. So for $60 total, you have yourself a highly competitive Pokemon card deck, whereas $60 in Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh gets you like 1 card. For Pokemon TCG Live, ironically, the amount of credits needed to upgrade the lead battle deck is almost exactly the same as the credits you get from buying the lead battle deck itself at just under 3,000. What this means for live players is that buying your 3rd Shadow Rider lead battle deck will net you enough credits to fully upgrade the free Charizard EX deck given to you until March 2025. One last thing, some of you may have noticed the Trainer's Toolkit 2024. While it's good for new players to get staple trainer cards plus Squawkabilly EX, it's not a worthwhile investment on Pokemon TCG Live. Not only is it more expensive than a lead battle deck at 1500 crystals, but it gives you maybe 2,000 credits, making it worse for farming than any of the decks. So if you really want those alternate art Squawkabilly EX included in the toolkit, just craft them for 600 credits each, don't waste your crystals on the bundle. And for physical players, most of what's in the toolkit is already in the lead battle deck, so you can skip it and just buy whatever singles you need, like the 2 copies of Arven. Since I'm uploading this video a day early, I'll pin a comment below if there's any discrepancies with the total credit gained in live from buying the deck while owning 4 copies of every card. Otherwise, if you have any questions about how to play Charizard, ask away in the comments. I'm currently streaming new decks from Surging Sparks on Twitch, so I don't have an updated Charizard EX gameplay video, but feel free to come over to the stream and ask questions there as well.